I have a 26-year-old son living with me who is a drug addict. He brings drugs in my home. If I ask him to leave, he will be homeless. Should I feel guilty if I ask him to leave anyway? As you probably have seen the title, I am celebrating 10,000 of you on this channel. And I want to really take this opportunity to thank you for everyone who has been a part of this community. And people in this community, they are compassionate, loving, empathic people who are highly conscious. And it's so amazing to have 10,000 of you. I truly appreciate you for your contribution, for connecting, for really sharing your thoughts in the comments and speaking your truth and really being aligned to who you are, because that really matters to me and everyone around you, whether they realize it or not. It is important. So I want to thank you for being here. This video is different because I am going to do question and answer. So many of you have sent questions which I'm going to answer in this video. Some of the questions I just want to mention, they are sensitive. Some of the topics are sensitive. So I just want to give this disclaimer from the beginning, and for everything that I say in this video, I just want to say that I have very little knowledge about your life, and I don't have the full context of the situation. I don't know what experiences you have gone through. I don't know the people who are in your life, what experiences, what challenges they come with. So I only have a few lines of the questions, and I will give my opinion, my thoughts on those questions based on where I am coming from, what is my knowledge and my experience and how I would see it. But please do realize what I say is not black and white. It is very dependent on every situation, and every person, every situation is different. And because I have very little knowledge about that, please take that in hindsight. So if what I say doesn't resonate with you or doesn't fit with the challenge you are going with and your life situation, if it doesn't align with what I say, then please do not take my advice. But if it does resonate, if it makes sense, and if it feels right to you to take it, then do take it. So I just want to mention, because I know some of the questions are a difficult thing to deal with, and I want to be very mindful and conscious about what I say, but also really realize that I do not have a full picture of anybody's life who have asked their questions. So we are going to talk about the emotional challenges, struggles, life challenges that we are going to address in this Q&A video. Some of the questions are personal, so there's some of the questions are about me, but some of the questions are about people who are going through some difficulties in life. And I'm hoping that everyone who watches gets some insights, awareness, and some value out of this video. So let's get into this. The first question is tips on how to move on and get out of narcissistic relationships. Okay, that's an interesting one, because when we say narcissistic person, we all have some sort of negative behaviors in us. So all of us suffer from some sort of a behavior which doesn't serve in hindsight. Sometimes we speak from our ego. Sometimes we speak from arrogance. Sometimes we carry some sort of a bad behavior. That does not make us narcissistic. Narcissism is a completely different personality trait. And I just want to clarify, not everyone is narcissistic, and we all have some toxic behaviors in some ways. So let's be very clear. When we say narcissistic, and to answer this question, so the narcissistic person manipulates, gaslight, never take any accountability, blame, can't see you happy, get triggered by your happiness, cannot compliment you, cannot give you anything. If that is the person who you're dealing with, who doesn't give you anything in your life and doesn't add any value to you, doesn't give you what you really need. And if you are in that kind of relationship where that person is making you question your sanity, making you question what you say, and you feel like, oh, is this my fault? And if you're constantly taking blame for everything that is happening, and you feel like there's nothing this person is adding value in your life in any way, we have to really look at it from that perspective. And if that's the case, then it's the best way to move on and leave that person. Because if they are not serving you in any shape or form, if they are making you doubt your value, your self-worth, if they are consistently victim and they are not treating you well, then you have to really look at from a perspective of what value they are adding. I would always say look at pros and cons of any relationship. If you are not getting anything out of it and you are just losing yourself in that relationship and it's making you feel worse about yourself and you're not gaining anything, then you have to ask yourself, why are you in this relationship? If you are in that space where somebody like that is in your life, then realize that it's best to move on and leave that relationship. And moving on, that was the next part of that question, how to move on. Moving on from a narcissistic relationship is extremely challenging because really healing from the trauma or the difficulty and the pain they have caused can take a while. And it's really important to heal that pain, that challenge, that difficulty that has came your way because of what you had to deal with. You had to sacrifice your worth. You had to sacrifice your values. You had to sacrifice your being in some ways because you keep giving and they keep taking. It makes you feel empty. It makes you feel drained. So it's really important to heal that part which felt empty, which felt drained, which felt abandoned, which felt that you really want to give love and you are not receiving any love. So feeling unloved. Really healing that part and then embodying yourself, your true self, and really embracing love for yourself, working on your self-worth and allowing yourself to embody that you are worthy, you deserve the best, you deserve to be loved. It's so important. And really trusting that you are a valued human being. It's so important. So realize that it's not worth it to be in that kind of relationship. That's Simba speaking. That's my cat. If you didn't know, I have a cat called Simba. He is adorable and loves speaking. The next question is, do I think if empathic people are considered weak when encouraging a narcissistic in a passive manner? So I don't think empathic people are weak. I actually think that their empathic nature is their superpower. But empathic people have the tendency to people please. They tend to please others. They tend to really work hard for people to like them. That's a common trait in empathic people. When someone is empathic, they work really hard to be loved because they have underlying belief that love is hard to get. So they work really hard. But in the end, start feeling unloved. So that's the pattern empaths run consistently. Do they encourage narcissistic people in a passive manner? That could be true for some empaths who haven't worked on themselves and who don't like confronting people. And doesn't matter narcissistic or not, they just have a habit of being very passive in their approach. They lack boundaries. So they would allow anything. Like I said, their underlying belief is love is hard to get. So they allow any behavior. Yes, people will walk all over them if they don't have any boundaries. But if you are a super empath, if somebody who is highly aware and they have worked on themselves, they have healed their trauma, embrace their sensitivity and their empathic nature, they embrace who they are and they are true and authentic to who they are, then super empaths would never allow anybody to cross their boundaries. Super empaths are very clear and very resilient in their approach, and they would not tolerate any nonsense. So if you want me to talk about super empaths, then do let me know. I can make a video about super empaths and who they are and how they operate in the world and why they are absolutely a nightmare for narcissistic people. If you want to know, then do let me know in the comments. So the next question is, I have gotten a lot of spiritual growth from outside sources and just as much from inside myself, if not more, as I do my inner work. My question is, I feel I'm being guided to go 100% within for my growth from this point onwards. Could it be that I use my inner knowing and intuition to guide me as to the information I consume? Okay, so it sounds like the question is tuning in and trusting your intuition to guide you in your life. I guess this is what you're asking me. So as we evolve, our consciousness expands, right? Anything that comes in our conscious awareness is there because we understand it, we realize it, and we've seen it. We cannot see something we are not aware of. We only see what we are aware of consciously. When we rely on our intuition and when we rely on what comes to us, gut feeling, that feeling of inner knowing, then our external world expands. Because when we follow our intuition, sometimes we have that intuitive feeling of, I really want to do this, but I feel scared, but I really feel it that I can do it and I'm going to be really good at it. It really calls to me and I really feel it in my body. And I feel this is what I'm meant to do and this is how it's meant to be, or this is what I should be learning, or this is what I should be following. Even though you may not be fully aware of what's going to happen in the future, but you have this strong feeling and you follow it and that path opens up. You see it, consciousness expands, you become more aware of it and you kind of learn whether it was good or bad. And sometimes, if your intuition really makes you feel like do something and you do it and it goes against you, then still it is a good thing for you to do because everything is always working out. Even it may not go according to your plan or how you anticipated that. Trust that what has happened, meant to happen, and let it go. Allow yourself to be in the space of, it's okay. It's okay if it doesn't work out because it meant to not work out. We cannot know everything from day one, right? We cannot start running before walking. Imagine a child learning to walk and they fall 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, 100 times. Do they stop walking? No, they keep trying, right? And eventually learn to walk. This is how you have to look at it. Even if your intuition tells you to do something and you do it and it doesn't work out, does that mean your intuition was wrong? No. It just means that's how it meant to happen. And because you've done that thing, that opened another path or another understanding, another awareness. It came to you. It's all learning. It's all growing. It's just evolving. And it's okay. Every experience, everything that is happening, it's meant to happen. And that's what I believe. It meant to happen. So learning to embrace uncertainty and letting go, feeling the fear, and doing it anyway and seeing what happens, because nobody has figured everything out in their life. Everybody's just learning and they're growing and they're following their journey. Nobody knows everything. Nobody. Doesn't matter who they are. Nobody knows everything. So trust what is coming your way, follow the path and see what happens. Okay. So the next question is, it's a sensitive question. So I'm going to paraphrase the question because I don't want to put everything on the internet what is being said. My son in early 20s lives with my mother who is narcissistic. He hasn't spoken to me and I continue to reach out and pray for him, but he doesn't want to speak. What should I do? Leave him alone or continue trying? That's where I get stuck. That's a very difficult place to be in as a mother, and I truly feel what you're feeling. It's not easy. It's very difficult to be in this space where your own child doesn't speak to you. So I truly empathize with how you're feeling. And it's a difficult, really difficult space to be in. So I really, really have a lot of compassion for you to kind of be in this space. I can't even imagine how difficult it must be for you. So I have thought about this, and I had to think about it because I don't want to say something without thinking. So I did think about this question. The thing is, like I said, I do not have a full picture. I don't know why he's living with your mother. I don't know why he's not speaking to you. And putting all of that aside and really thinking that you are in the situation where your son doesn't speak to you and you're trying to mend that relationship and you're not getting any luck with that. What we have to understand how human psyche works. The more we try for someone to do something, the less likely they will do it, right? So really understanding that, especially your son being in early 20s, he must have a lot of thoughts running in his head. It's just human behavior, right? The more you want something, the less likely they will give you what you want, right? Really understanding where your position is and really understanding where he stands. And that's only my opinion. You don't have to take it. Like I said in earlier, I don't know the full picture. So I would say there's nothing much you can do at this moment. If he is not willing to speak, you cannot make him speak to you until he's ready to do that. The more you're going to try, more frustrated you will get and more frustrated he will get. Even though it's hardest thing to do, I would say that send a message, a loving message that you are there for him. You will be always there for him. And next time, it's up to him when he wants to reach out to you. But you have all the love for him. And you just send that and let him come to you. And eventually, he will come to you. So, really trusting that he will come to you when he's ready. Really trusting that he will go on his own path and learning his own emotions and how he's feeling today. He may not be feeling like that in 6 months or 12 months' time. Allowing him to really have that space to come back to you, really creating that space. I think that would be a healthy thing to do, even though I know it's hard. But I think that's how you can approach this in a healthy way for yourself and for your son, to let it be and trust that this is a process of growth for you. Really trusting your creator and God, really trusting that everything that is happening for his greatest good, even though it doesn't feel good. But you have right intention and you have the love. There's nothing you can do much. You can't make people see what they're not willing to see. So allow yourself to just lean into this feeling and allow yourself to feel without judging yourself and without feeling guilty, which I am sure as a mother you may feel. But there's nothing much you can do. And sometimes we just have to let things play. And time is the biggest healer. Maybe with time, your son will realize and he will come back. Okay, so next question. How can I keep my focus where there's so many emotions and thoughts and distractions? Focus really starts from setting intentions in your daily life. Every single day, waking up with certain intention and really knowing and committing to that intention and building this discipline to follow through. That's where the focus comes from, is having this ability and discipline and commitment to remain focused. And that requires work, like anything else. So if you are getting distracted and thoughts are distracting you and emotions are coming up, which they will do, but we cannot base our whole life based on how we feel in every moment. We have to build this muscle of focus that requires building, that doesn't just happen overnight, that requires discipline, that requires commitment. So, waking up each morning and setting an intention, let's say your intention is, I am going to work out, making sure that you're committed to that intention and work out, having that discipline to continue that process every single day, and that will keep you in focus. So realize that if you allow emotions and distractions to make you drift in life, then life will keep passing by and years will go by and you will see yourself standing in the same place, feeling the same way, nothing much changing. So understanding that if you really want to change things in your life, you have to commit, you have to be disciplined, you have to train this muscle to remain focused. And it all starts with setting intention. Because when we don't set any intention, we drift because we have no purpose. We have no focal point. We have no understanding of what we want. In a bigger picture, we may want a lot of money, success, we want fulfillment, happiness, everything. But in a smaller way, on everyday basis, you have to wake up with that intention in terms of what can I do today to make a difference for my tomorrow? What can I do? And based on that, you move forward in life and with everything that you do. So it's like if you go to a gym and do a workout one day, you're not going to have six packs, right? You have to work out consistently every single day for you to build that six pack, right? Same as focus requires consistent discipline, consistent commitment, and consistent intention every single day to build that muscle. Okay, so the next question is, what is some good advice for those people still searching for that significant other? Great question. I guess a lot of people may be wanting to hear that. The best advice I have gotten years ago from one of my coaches is that whatever you are looking for in your ideal partner, your soulmate, whatever that qualities that would make them your ideal partner, make sure you have those qualities in you. Make sure you're building those qualities in you. Make sure that you are portraying, you are really embodying that quality in you. So if you want somebody who's very loving and very kind, we have to really look at, are we being loving? Are we being kind to ourselves and to others? If the answer is no, then let's work on that. Let's embody that. Let's really come from that place of kindness and love from everything that we do. It's not just one thing, not just one moment, but really embracing and embodying that behavior and come from that space and meet people in that way. If we don't do that, we really don't embody that, and if we don't live by that, then we are not aligning with what we are looking for. Once we align with what we are looking for and we embody that behavior, that energy, that frequency, then we are in that vibrational match with that person who we are looking for. And then they get attracted to us because we have to be in the frequency, the energy. That's why a lot of people who are looking for love, they have the long list of things they want in their partner, but they don't become aware of, do I have those qualities? If I really like somebody who communicates everything they say and they have good communication skill, do I have good communication skill? Do I share my feeling or do I avoid? When there's a problem, do I avoid or hide? Do I not talk about it? Do I ignore it? Do I dismiss it? Or do I embrace it and communicate? If I avoid, then I become avoidant, right? Really becoming aware what habits and behavior you have and really embodying the right kind of behavior to attract the right person. So the next question is, how did you become so wise? So how did I become so wise? I guess I don't know if I am so wise because there are moments that I'm I'm not so wise, but let's just answer this. So I have gone through very, very challenging life situations from a very, very young age. So when I was little, I had to grow up very quickly. I had to learn to process my own emotions on my own. I had to cope on my own a lot, and I had to figure things out on my own. Very difficult, challenging feelings, which a child should not have to go through and should not face. And I had to kind of process that without getting any kind of external emotional support as a child. I learned not very quickly, it took me a long, 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 long time to understand myself, to understand how human psyche behavior works, to really understand why people do what they do, to understand where people are coming from, how they process, do they see things. It made me aware. And because I was a very sensitive child, it made me even more aware. And I was very empathic. I am still very empathic. I feel other people's emotions in my body. So I became very good with understanding pain, understanding emotions, understanding why people do what they do and what is their way of looking at things. And that really helped me to become emotionally mature and helped me to become, I guess, aware of how everything works. So I can understand people from a different perspective. That just helped me to become, I guess, very mature, and people would say sensible in some ways. The next question is, where do you come from and where do you live now? Love from Prague. Amazing. So where do I come from? My family and I am from India. If we look at back, my ancestors were from Middle East. They came to India, and I was born in India, brought up in London, really, because I was quite young when I came to the UK. And yeah, I am based in UK, in London. So that's where I am. Yeah. That's it. The next question is, what does it mean to have free will? Great question. I think that's an interesting one because we don't really think about that, right? We don't think about we live in a world which perceived as free, but is it actually free? But having a free will as human being, God has given us this power to have a choice. In nature, whether you look at tree or animals, anything alive, they don't have free will. The tree grows, they have to grow, they give fruits. They don't have a choice that, oh, I am deciding not to grow today. Having a free will, we all have, whether we all have the choice. What does it mean to have a free will? It means that you choosing how to operate in your life, a good or bad or ugly, whatever approach you take, how you show up in your life, how you approach things in your life, how you operate in the world, how you project yourself in the world. You have a choice. You can choose to be angry with everybody. You can choose to be loving with everybody. You can choose to think everything is bad in this world. And you can choose to think everything is good in this world. Like I said, animals don't have a choice. It is what it is for them. But we have the perception, we have the mind to think and perceive everything in a different way. So a person who can be your own sibling or your friend, two people living probably the same life, they can have a very different perspective of life because they choose to see that. They have the free will to see what they see. I don't know if you read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that book really talks about two brothers who have a very different perspective. One brother grows up to be broke, poor, negative person. The other brother grows up to be highly successful and very positive. And they just chose a different perspective of the same life they were living. So if you haven't read that book, do read it. It gives you that kind of understanding of that. So having a free will is really about how you perceive things and you have the choice to perceive. So you have the choice to work on yourself and increase your consciousness awareness and expand and evolve as a human being. But you have also a choice to live in your home, watch Netflix all day, don't do anything with your life, don't work, don't do anything. You have the choice. That's what it means to have free will. And you can choose to remain the same, or you can choose to change. Other beings don't have that choice. They have been brought on this planet without having that free will like human beings do. Okay, so I'm just going to cover 2 more questions. This one is again a sensitive one. I have a 26-year-old son living with me who is a drug addict. He brings drugs in my home and does them in my home, which I have asked him not to do. When he's high, he does dangerous things and steals from his brother and myself. If I ask him to leave, he will be homeless. Should I feel guilty if I ask him to leave anyway? He is disrupting all our lives, and I feel like I have no peace in my life. Again, this is a highly sensitive, and I'm sorry that you're going through this. It is extremely difficult space to be in, to go through this. If your son is a drug addict, he's taking drugs, that's very destructive behavior. That is dangerous for you and for your family and for himself. It's very, very dangerous if he is doing what you're saying he's doing. And it is extremely unhealthy space to be in. It is extremely difficult and extremely unhealthy space to be in. What I would say is, yes, I understand and empathize that you feel that if you ask him to leave, that would be very difficult for you to be in that space. But I think when a situation like this, where somebody is dangerous for themselves and for other people around them, that is extremely difficult, and it's extremely important that you do not think from your emotions. It's important to bring your logic in this, and it's important to think about practically how to tackle this, because we cannot think from emotion in this instance, because it's dangerous for your family, everybody in the house, and it's dangerous for him. So we have to think about practically what you can do to change this. So speak to authorities, speak to institutions. Maybe he can go into rehab, because we have to think about how to protect him from himself and how to protect you and your family from his destructive behaviors. So bring in authority, bring in institution, bring in professionals who can help, maybe he can go into rehab, maybe he can go into certain institutions who help people who take drugs. Really think about how you can involve people who can actually practically help you in this situation, because you cannot just rely on your emotions, because you have to think about your other children as well. So bring in people, speak to doctors, speak to authorities, speak to experts, and see how you can remove him from your life temporarily, to put him in a space where it's safe for him to be in, where he can go into maybe rehab, and remove him from your environment so that he can get the right help he needs to recover, to do what needs to be done. And that's how I would say you can approach it practically, logically, and bringing in people who can actually help to resolve this, because it's not a healthy space to be in. Okay, the next question is, have you ever experienced potentially harmful emotions and channeled them into feelings, mindsets, or behaviors that increase the quality of your life? So yes, that has definitely happened. Like I said, I've gone through a lot of challenges in life. I've gone through difficult emotions. I've experiences difficult people, very, very, very toxic people, very challenging people that made me extremely angry as a child. I had to process that anger on my own in some ways. And yes, it was very difficult. How I channeled it, those difficult emotions, is by becoming very ambitious, because I channeled it like, I want to achieve a lot. I want to do so much that I no longer have to deal with these things, these feelings, to be aligned with my highest version. because my highest version is not angry. My highest version is not destructive in any way. So really understanding and being aligned and following that anger, transforming it into ambition and passion, and channeling that in that way instead. So really changing the focus, focusing on my growth, committing to my self-development, committing to my evolution, and processing that in that way has really helped me. So the last question is, do I have any hidden talent? The only hidden talent I can think of is me being highly sensitive and me being not aware of my sensitivity for the longest time in terms of powerful gift I have. I have always been very sensitive as a child, so I can feel other people's emotions in my body. So that's a talent, you can say. I used to think that's a weakness, but now I can truly say that is my superpower, being able to feel emotions so deeply in my body, which used to impact me a lot back in the days. But I've learned to protect my energy, my energetic field, and really understand that I can feel people, but I don't have to take in their energy. So I can feel people very well, and that has built my intuitive abilities. And that's why I've got into healing. I am very into healing and really releasing those kind of pain points for people. And that's where it all started. And I felt so strong connection with healing and working with people to heal them. So I guess that's the talent. So that is it for this video. This is the longest video I've ever made, but thank you for sticking by, and I thank you for all your questions, and thank you for 10,000 of you to be in this community. The last thing is, few spots have been opened up to be coached by me. So if you are suffering emotionally, going through challenges, then do complete a short application below to see if you're right fit to work together and to qualify for a complimentary call with me. So that's it. Like this video if you like this video. And lastly, may the light in me reaches the light in you.